How's it going? This is not a conspiracy theory. This is just talking about some of the things that might be going on behind the scenes that we don't actually know, because I find it rather curious that 25,000 troops are protecting the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. And I can't imagine that that's actually just because there might be some patriots that show up. Just as Whitney Webb had warned about, they have absolutely demonized, quote, conspiracy theorists, which would be any independent media who disagrees with the mainstream media. That would be conspiracy theorists. Anybody who talks about 9/11 can't do that, even though half the population knows that there's something absolutely wrong with that. So that's demonized now as dangerous conspiracy theorists, because it's so dangerous to question 9/11. Because why? Anyone with a conservative opinion has been eradicated, basically their accounts deleted, and any kind of right-wing platforms have been uprooted and completely shut down. The free speech platforms that were out there are now censored. Every place that is considered to be, or that realistically is the public speaking place, is completely censored. And only one side of the political spectrum opinions are okay now, I guess. And I don't play the left-right game, so it's not about that. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not on the right. But they group me in with it because they consider some of what I say to be conspiracy theory. What conspiracy theory really means is independent journalism that mainstream hasn't caught up with yet. So they're just shutting down anybody with a dissenting opinion, anybody who's uncovering stuff, anybody who's even remotely denying or speaking out against vaccine stuff. That's completely shut down. That's why I can only talk about it occasionally and in vague terms. I think everybody knows what's up with that. So yeah, we're left without free speech or free press. Well, technically I could print out what I know and distribute it, and I think that that's still protected, and writing books is still protected. Although online literature has been completely erased, like book burning. You know, they say those who burn books later burn bodies. That's always fun. They're putting us right in with terrorists, and there's talk of opening. I never thought I'd see this stuff. They're talking about opening detention camps in Germany, of all places, for people who don't obey with the COVID stuff or with the vaccine or whatever they decide. I guess that, you know, they're just going to start imprisoning their own citizens for not obeying this absolute absurdity that we find ourselves in, where it is our patriotic duty to resist tyranny. And I don't know why anybody could deny that to be the case. I kind of feel like the Capitol building attack was supposed to be more dramatic, more like 9/11, where a lot of people died. I have a feeling that that's what they were going for. What stopped that from happening? I don't know. Maybe it was because they were looking for certain senators that they didn't find. Who knows? I don't. But I know that 25,000 troops are guarding the Capitol building now. And I don't know what that means, but here are a couple ideas that I've had based on some of the reports of possible things coming down the pipe, such as long-term power failures or internet failures. That's possible. That could happen. false flags could happen. But if there was long-term widespread power failure, well, that would kind of mean that it would be difficult for those troops to get to the Capitol building to defend it. So it would, if it were planned, be very important to have those troops in place before it all went down. So that's one possibility. Another possibility is some sort of other bio attack. Something that is so devastating that it leaves everybody in total chaos. And because they don't know what to do, they show up at the Capitol building because everything else doesn't work and they don't know what to do. But that doesn't strike me as a 25,000 troop defense. So they are armed up and ready for the very worst that could happen. And I don't see a reason for it. All the state capitals are now surrounded by fence. And if you look at these militias, there's a few serious militias, but 25,000 troops, I mean, the militias probably don't even number 5,000 total in the country. Random number, I'm just saying, they don't seem that numerous comparatively. So it just makes me wonder what's going on in the next 2 days. Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. They're culling the population, in my opinion. I think that they're culling the population. They are thinning the herd. And I feel like the shots that are going around that are getting more and more forceful are to help that along. Because I don't think that that's going very well. And of course, you won't hear about it because there's a lot of private interests that are very powerful that do everything they can to make sure that you wouldn't hear about such things. So I'm trying to say be prepared. Today's the 18th.
With hundreds of COVID-19 vaccines now in development, it's likely that a mixture of different approaches will be needed. Mixture of different approaches will be needed. Mixture of different approaches will be needed. Mixture of different approaches will be needed in order to stop the global spread of this coronavirus and end the pandemic.
I work for a large hospital system in Broward County, Florida, on the anesthesia team. Last night, the house nurse manager came to my department and told us that we must prepare for a COVID crisis that's going to start next week. And the hospital will be taking part of our recovery unit, anesthesia recovery unit, to house COVID patients. And I said, how do you know you're going to need our rooms, our bays? And how do you know there's going to be a crisis next week? And she said, you know what's going on by now. And I said, yeah, I do. It's about time that this whole corrupted, stinking system is brought down.